I'm the toughest person in China anywhere in the world. I put on 100% tariff on Chinese cars. We don't have a Chinese car in the whole country. And if you look at Europe, they're being inundated with Chinese cars, and it's killing their car companies.
And that's President Trump with me here last month on the policy on Chinese cars in the United States ahead of the president's trip and meeting this week on May 14th and 15th with Xi Jinping in Beijing. The meeting appears to still be on despite the war in Iran. My next guest has introduced the bipartisan so-called Connected Vehicle Security Act of 2026, which will effectively block Chinese vehicles and Chinese connected auto technology from America, calling them roaming surveillance machines and, in some cases, Chinese weapons. Joining me now, the man himself in the Sunday Morning Futures exclusive, Ohio Senator Bernie Moreno, a key member of the Senate Homeland Security and Commerce Committees. Senator, good to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Tell us about your bill and what we need to understand about Chinese vehicles in America.
Well, the bill's inspired by President Trump. Nobody's been a better friend to the U.S. auto industry than President Trump. He's the first person 11 years ago that called out the Chinese threat to the U.S. As you know, Maria, the American middle class was predominantly built by the auto industry. It's about 10% of our GDP. So for us to allow Chinese cars that are massively subsidized by the Communist Party to come in and destroy our auto industry, destroy our auto workers, is something we would not even remotely consider. So this bill makes that impossible. Let me just say something else. These cars have lots of cameras. They send back data to the Communist Party and can be remotely controlled by the Communist Party. Could you imagine letting those vehicles into the U.S.? And that's why it's important to get this legislation across the finish line. And I'm certain that President Trump, we can get that to his desk, hopefully by Labor Day.
Well, this is a really important point that you make. I want to go back to two things that you said. On the one hand, these cameras. There is anywhere, from half a dozen to a dozen cameras on these cars. So whatever's on those cameras is sent back to the CCP?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can imagine somebody working at an Air Force base. They drive in. These things are surveilling the Air Force base. They also know who's driving the vehicle, their habits, where they go, where they come from. And all that data, as we just said, goes back to the Communist Party. We would never allow Americans to purchase surveillance devices from the Communist Party of China, and that's exactly what these automobiles are. So our bill insists that not happen. It hermetically seals the U.S. market. And again, the economic threat too, Maria. These cars are about 20 to 30% cheaper than most cars because they're massively subsidized. These are basically little Trojan horses that they're throwing all over the globe.
So if we were to have a conflict with China at any point, are you saying that the Chinese Communist Party could control those cars and have them go crashing into things all day long if we're in a conflict? I mean, what do you mean in terms of the CCP controlling those cars?
Yeah, these are connected vehicles, so they could actually take over the driving of the vehicle, lock the doors, roll up the windows, and crash the vehicle into sensitive sites. This is the technology that exists in these Chinese cars. We're just not going to let that into our market, Maria. I mean, I look at our European allies, I look at Canada and Mexico, the fact that they've not only allowed them, but they're growing dramatically. In Europe, it's almost 20% of their market now is Chinese automobiles. In Mexico, it's hitting 30%. Canada is now bringing them in. I mean, this is stupidity at another level. We just won't let that happen. We're going to make certain that we protect our market, and hopefully our allies wake up and realize that they need to repel these Chinese vehicles from their market. They're making 1 million exports a month of Chinese automobiles. That's more than we produce here in the United States. Think about the volume of these cars. These are predator companies that seek to destroy the Western auto world.
That is absolutely extraordinary. Thank you for your work on that. You are also working on the Clarity Act. When is the markup? What can you tell us about this market structure bill this upcoming week?
Well, Senator Tim Scott, as the chairman of the Banking Committee, has noticed the markup for Thursday. It's going to be an historic day. We're going to get that across the finish line, get it on the floor. What this does is ensures the United States of America is the crypto capital of the world, something that President Trump campaigned on, and we're going to get this bill to his desk hopefully by July 4th. Our financial revolution starts at the anniversary, 250th anniversary of our actual revolution. And what you're going to see, Maria, is an entirely new financial future that's driven by U.S. innovation and U.S. companies.
Yeah, and one of the issues was the crypto companies being able to pay rewards, right? And then the banks were pushing back saying, we don't want you to be able to pay money to people who put their money in crypto platforms because they're going to take their money out of traditional bank accounts. Is that issue resolved?
Yeah, that issue is mostly resolved thanks to Senator Tillis and Senator Alsobrooks. Look, at the end of the day, here's the facts, Maria. The Genius Act passed last August. Since then, deposits have actually increased among banks. So this idea that it was going to lead to massive deposit flight is just not true. Now, my point of view is that at some point we need to revisit paying interest and yield directly on those stable coins. We should not legislate the fact that consumers can't get paid to have their money sitting somewhere. I think that's just fundamentally bad policy. But look, we want to get this bill across the finish line. We got through this yield reward conversation, and we think we're mostly there with all the issues resolved. And like I said, the markup is Thursday. It's going to be a long one. I'm sure Elizabeth Warren's going to put up a lot of insane amendments, but the Republicans are fully united, and we're going to get this bill out of committee and on the floor.
Senator, a word on the midterm elections. A lot of people are expecting the House to lose the majority, although you had some really big wins from the Supreme Court on this redistricting efforts. Give us your sense of the midterm elections and how you're feeling about the Senate. The court's recent decision in the Louisiana redistricting case, as well as Virginia, were very positive for the Republicans.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'm actually bullish on the midterms. I think the House we're going to keep, and for sure the Senate we're going to keep, and actually maybe even pick up a seat or two. You know, the reality is the Democrats have put up generationally, historically terrible candidates. People like Graham Plattner has got a Nazi tattoo, said that women should take responsibility who are raped. You have Dr. Al-Sayed in Michigan, who is pro-Hamas, anti-American. James Tallarico, who is absolutely an abject disaster for Texas. We have phenomenal candidates, and they have horrible, horrible candidates. Candidates that, Maria, just a few years ago would have been disqualified from even being able to run for office. Think about, this is a guy in Maine, has a Nazi tattoo on his body for 18 years. And the fact that people like Elizabeth Warren says that's her kind of guy, I just don't even understand it. The Democrats have lost their minds.
Senator, it's great to have you this morning. We'll be watching. Thanks so much for being here. Senator Bernie Moreno.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.